Mr. Getz?
Here.
Ms. Beckham?
Here.
Mrs. McNamara?
Here.
Mrs. Wolford? Mr. Eby?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Here.
Open Meetings Law. The Bellevue Board of Education abides by the Nebraska Open Meetings Law. A copy of the law is posted on the wall of our boardroom. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have an administrative recommendation. The information in sections C, E, and F were sent to all members of the Board of Education for review. The administration recommends approval by consent of the items in section C of the agenda identified with an asterisk and receipt of the information and proposals in sections E and F identified with an asterisk. We have a recommendation to approve the consent items. Is there a motion?
I will make that motion. Did we miss an item?
Excuse me?
Did we miss B1?
Special recognition.
Oh, I'm so sorry, special recognition, yes, of course.
But we want to go ahead, since we've already read it, we want to go ahead.
Yes. All right, special recognition, Month of the Military Child. Bellevue Public Schools is fortunate to be at the heart of serving the Bellevue Offutt community. Military children play such an important role in the armed forces community. Regardless of the military status or position, every child of military personnel deserves the love and support of their community. As part of this month-long celebration, local communities are invited to take part in Purple Up Day, which for Nebraska is Wednesday, April 15th. Purple Up Day is a day to show your support for the military's use, strength, and sacrifices by donning the color purple. BPS will celebrate Purple Up Day with Offutt Air Force Base on Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. As a proud neighbor to Offutt Air Force Base and DoD Base Commander, Bellevue Public Schools understands the importance of recognizing our community's military children. Thank you for your service and sacrifice. And we thank you and all of your staff at Offutt and your support team and all of our families that they make our lives better, you make our community even better, and we're just so grateful to have you part of our community.
Thank you very much. We are proud to be a part of it.
All right, so do we have a recommendation to approve the consent
I
items?
will continue that.
I second.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Getz?
Yes.
Ms. Beckham?
Yes.
Mrs. McNamara?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolford?
Yes.
Mr. Eby?
Yes.
Budget parameters, Susan Brooks.
Good evening. We're here tonight presenting the budget parameters for approval. Every year I get up here and I ask for approval of the budget parameters. They're set, expecting approximately 35% of the revenues will be set at the local level. The budget will be based on the traditional goals, any cuts far away from students, district will achieve staff reductions through attrition whenever possible, although we're not talking about that. The district will not implement a furlough program. These are just standard budget parameters that we have renewed for years since I've been here. Educational program is set to meet the needs of about 9,500 students. Then it goes on to talk about caseloads for special needs and things like that, which people with more instructional expertise than me can talk about. And then as far as we know, there have been no changes to the funding mechanisms that come through the state. So we're presenting these without any changes. Are there any questions?
Any questions? All right, so we have a recommendation for approval of the parameters for 2026-2027 budgetary plan.
I would make the motion to approve the proposed parameters for the 26-27 budgetary plan.
I'll second.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mrs. McNamara?
Yes.
Mr. Getz?
Yes.
Ms. Beckham?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolford? Mr. Eby?
Yes.
Superintendent's contract renewal. Tonight, the board will consider the renewal of the superintendent's contract until June 30th, 2029, and approve the superintendent tax pay transparency notice. The current and proposed contracts are attached along with the Nebraska Department of Education Schedule D. Do we have a motion?
No discussion, there's no discussion, I'll make the motion to approve the renewal of the superintendent's contract until June 30th, 2029, and the superintendent's pay transparency notice.
I'll second.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Edy?
Yes.
Mr. Getz?
Yes.
Ms. Beckham?
Yes.
Mrs. McNamara?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolford?
Yes.
All right, informational items. Nebraska Association of School Boards, Dr. Rippey.
Okay, so tonight we have John Spots here, who's Executive Director of the Nebraska Association of School Boards. We appreciate all the work that John does representing all school boards throughout Nebraska. And so he's going to give a quick update on kind of some of their issues, and you have some information in front of you as well, so I'm sure he'll present. So John, it's all yours.
And I promised Dr. Rippey I'd be quick. I'm not going to take any more than 60 minutes for this presentation. I'm kidding. I'll be quick. Again, thank you for having me. My name is John Spots, Executive Director for the Nebraska Association of School Boards. And we as a staff over the last few years decided we need to be attending more school board meetings. And Bellevue is on my list. I told Coach Rippey back in November we'd try to get up to the meeting. It's only 5 months later, but we made it. I'm going to be in Meridian at the school board meeting next week. Looking forward to that. The primary purpose for our attendance at these school board meetings is to, number one, thank you for being members of the association. And I tell people the older I get, the more value I place on relationships and time. So from a personal perspective, the relationship I have with all of you is valuable to me, but organizationally, the relationship with the district, I think is very valuable. So number one, just wanted to thank you. Give you a real high-level update as well on the School Board Association. So we gave you a membership guide. We are governed by a board of 23, and it will be 24. And this district is represented by regions 2, 3, and 4. I think that's on page 9. So the Omaha metro area, not counting Millard and OPS, all the other districts, Papillion and Bennington and DC West, are represented by 3 seats. And so for those of you who, if you'd ever want to serve on our board of directors, that would be the mechanism. So those are the people representing you on our board of directors. I know Nina was on our board several years ago, and we appreciated her time. So Bellevue has been very active with us organizationally, and we'd be thrilled if you ever had any questions about how to serve on our board of directors to let me know. I always tell people there's kind of 3 general reasons why we exist as an organization. Number one, we provide advocacy for public education. We provide board development, and then we try to provide you services that save you time and money. On the advocacy for public education, you probably pay attention to the legislature. This is essentially the last week. Our default position on most things is local control. If a decision can be made in a boardroom or a classroom, that's probably where it should be made. And there are attempts every year to pull those decisions out of boardrooms and classrooms and have them made either in Lincoln or Washington or somewhere other than that. So we spend a lot of time trying to support local control, and sometimes it's lonely supporting local control because there's sometimes some things that look very popular from the state's perspective to pull out of local districts, and sometimes we're out there alone saying, no, we have to reserve those decisions for the local government. So we spent a lot of time doing that. I think we had a reasonably good year from a legislative perspective. We are in late April going to Washington, D.C. We've been doing this now for 3 years, where we take a group to Washington, D.C. for some federal advocacy. Second part is we provide board development, so that's defined very broadly. You're familiar with our state conference and a variety of other learning opportunities throughout the course of the year. I'm going to tell you one thing, kind of let you in on a little thing that we're working on right now that I'm excited about. Last fall, we signed an agreement with the Gen Youth Foundation. The Gen Youth Foundation is the NFL's foundation. If you remember, the Fuel Up to Play 60, be active for 60 minutes. The NFL has invested quite a bit of money in a chronic absenteeism study that they did this last fall, and we're partnering with them on that. They are going to be releasing the results on that sometime soon, I think in late this month, early this next month. And what they found, and it's not going to be a surprise to anybody, particularly if you have teachers in the room, is that in school buildings where there is a healthier culture, and they define that a variety of ways, you see less chronic absenteeism. And that's true in high poverty schools and low poverty schools. And so The focus of the NFL really is going to be on building healthy cultures in school buildings, and they're trying to figure out ways to better partner with the K-12 community. And so we're part of that, we're a big part of that. So I think we have, in the state of Nebraska, a very unique opportunity to contribute to a national movement right now. And so about a month ago I was in Washington, D.C., and they had a number of groups there representing the NFL, NBA, ESPN, Disney, a variety of other national organizations, and the Nebraska Association of School Boards. And so the desire is to better align the private sector with the public sector, the K-12 community, around some things that can be a support of school districts around building a healthy culture. And I think that from the military perspective too, kids are leaving our K-12 system healthier, and I define that broadly. That's mentally, that's physically, and that's socially. That's a win for everybody. There's not a problem in our country that doesn't get a little bit better if we're collectively getting healthier. So that's kind of a unique thing that you're hopefully will be hearing a lot more from us. But here in a few days, we're all going to be in South San Antonio. I know several folks are going to be there from Bellevue. I'm thrilled about that. That's one of my favorite events of the year at the national conference. We do a Nebraska reception. And for those of you who are going, I'm thrilled you're going. Be sure to come up and say hi to me when you're there. The third area, the thing that we do, is we try to provide you things that can save you time and money. So I looked at some of the things that Bellevue does. One of the programs you're in is NJump. That's our natural gas purchasing entity. And I looked at some data, so not counting the current year, but the 3 years prior. Because of your participation in NJump, you saved your taxpayers $57,000 for if you weren't in the NJump program. So we buy natural gas as a pool, and I think it's worked very well for the districts who are participating. So on behalf of your taxpayers, I think that's been a very good program for you. So over a 3-year period, that's $57,000 you saved on natural gas. Another program that you're in is, I see you have the Spark meetings here. We hope you like the program, and that's something that we do at the Nebraska Association of School Boards with our subsidiary Spark. Comparable programs are significantly more expensive, and quite frankly, I don't think they're as good. The electronic meeting system that was developed essentially by Nebraska superintendents and board members, school board members, is in about 2,500 entities all across the nation. Mostly school districts, but a variety of other types of entities utilize that. So utilizing that, we think it saves you time and money. And I know you're part of our policy service. You're going to be seeing some changes to our policy service that I think will be for the better. It's going to be linked into your Spark meeting system, and I think it's going to be a very professional policy service that you're going to be getting, hopefully, for a cost that is much less than you'd be able to get in the private sector. But the big one that I want to say I appreciate your participation is ALICAP. And Dr. Ripley has been on the board for several years now. And I really want to thank him and this board for your engagement and participation. And even before you're on the board, I know the Bellevue School District has been very active and very engaged in our ALICAP. So that's our insurance pool. It's a property casualty insurance and workers' compensation. And I've got a sheet, hopefully, that you have in front of you right here, that gives a little detail on ALICAP for you. Your current year premiums are $2.3 million, but it would have been $124,000 more but for the dividends. So because of your participation, you got this last year, the district, $124,000 dividend. Again, on behalf of your taxpayers, your willingness to let Dr. Ripley participate as a board member, your willingness to participate as a school district in ALICAP is a win for your taxpayers. And while I don't know what this number would be, the $2.3 million in premiums, I suspect if you didn't have ALICAP, if you had to get in the private sector, would be significantly higher than that right now. We've seen a lot of districts join ALICAP over the last several years because if you have homeowners insurance, you know what's happened to your rates over the last several years. And so I don't know what that number would be, but your premiums are likely significantly less. So your total payroll is $90 million. Your statement of property values was $622 million. So you're a big school district, and you're a very important part of ALICAP. The one thing I do want to point out down there is at the very bottom, that work comp modifier at 0.83, that is outstanding. That means you have a very safe district. And I want to thank your superintendent, his administrators, your building leaders, and the teachers and staff at Bellevue. To see a school district of this size have a work comp modifier as low as 0.83, I think is outstanding. And I really do want to say I appreciate the work that your team does in taking safety seriously. The average is 1. If a good average school district has a work comp modifier of 1. Anything less than that, if you are at 0.99, it would be reason to celebrate, because you're paying less in workers' compensation. For every percentage, for every point less, that's a percentage less that you're paying in work comp insurance premium. So to be at 0.83 for a school district of this size, I just think is outstanding, and I really do. I want to congratulate the superintendent and all of his team. I'm sure he'd say the same thing, filtering all the way down to everybody working in the school buildings. That is really good. So we think if ALICAP was the only thing we did at NASB, it would be worth us being in existence, because I really do think Nebraska schools are as safe or safer than any schools in the nation for a variety of reasons. And I think a lot of that has to do with the participation of schools working together in this pooling concept to make it safer. So we have about 228 school districts that participate in ALICAP, and truly Bellevue is one of the leaders. And like I said, our superintendent's on the board of directors, and I know when I introduced him to my wife several years ago, I introduced him as an ALICAP board member first, so I had to tell him that, so I always do that. But again, I just want to say thank you for your membership, and I'd be thrilled to answer any questions if you had any questions for me about anything.
A quick question, on the experience modifier, is that the amount of workers' comp claims paid divided by the payroll or the potential
No,
exposure?
yeah, so the more claims that you have, the higher that modifier number is.
Right.
And so if you're at the average for a school district this size, your work comp modifier would be 1. And so you'd pay the average rate of work comp. So anything under that, so the fewer claims you have, the fewer big claims you have, the more money that you're saving, the safer your school district is, you're going to see that work comp modifier go down. And like I said, 0.83 is outstanding for any district, but especially when you're getting to be a larger district like Bellevue. To see something like that really is a compliment to the systems that you have put in place as board, the policy that you have, and the execution by your administrative team and all of your staff. It's really good news.
I understand it, but the specific calculation,
Yeah.
how do you come up with the point?
Well, there's a formula, and I'm not the one to answer that. I don't know. I could get you that answer, but I'd have to make it up, and I don't know exactly how that. All I know is that's a really good number.
That's the
Yep.
bottom line.
That's right. It is.
No, we appreciate all your support.
John, what's your feel with like the state and funding public education?
Yep.
Where do you think that's trending?
I'm worried. If you've been paying attention to our budget this year, it's trending in the wrong direction. We're a state still very heavily dependent upon our ag industry, and when commodity prices are low, we see an impact at the Capitol with state revenues coming in. And so I'm pretty concerned about the financial shape of the state over the next couple of years. If you look at trend lines and where things are going, commodity prices, the tariffs have had an impact, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm concerned about what it's going to look like this next year. And ultimately, K-12 is a big part of the funding mechanism for the state of Nebraska. But amongst the other things I'm concerned about, if you come to area membership meetings, you've seen this for the last decade. Every year I do a 20-year chart of the state budget. If you look at the state budget over a 20-year period and evaluate what programs are growing as a percentage of the budget, which are shrinking. The programs that are growing as a percentage of the state budget are things like corrections and Medicaid. The things that are shrinking as a percentage of the state budget are K-12 education and higher education. And we hear this every now and then, we have to run government more like a business, and I don't disagree with that. But if you're looking at a business and over a 20-year period, your expenses are growing as a percentage of your budget, and what I call the investments are shrinking, that's not a good trend line. And I'm concerned about this next year. When money's not available, sometimes the legislature finds other things to look at, and a lot of those have to do with local control and decision that you're making. But I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's a good question. And again, I think we're very fortunate in Nebraska to have your support for our public schools. I mean, I love Maybe and everything about Maybe and Colby and his states with the legislature, and I just really appreciate I mean, I think our educational, our education association, all of our leaders and our liaisons in our school district, our military liaisons, are so vital to help control or persuade our senators who need to make better decisions and aren't, that hurt public schools.
That's right.
And I just truly appreciate your work to support that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. But I look at K-12 is an investment for the state of Nebraska. If we want to address the long-term costs and our corrections for Medicaid, we've got to invest in a different way. And sometimes the state looks at our Medicaid budget as it's growing, and they look to say, well, how do we prevent access to services, or how do we lower provider reimbursement rates? So the solution is, I want to make people ineligible for Medicaid by getting them a job with health insurance. If you have a job with health insurance, you're not going to be eligible for Medicaid. And you do that by investing, and you do that with collaboration and work. And I say this kind of for the folks in the crowd. Every time we have great working relationships all around the nation with other peer organizations. Every time I come back to Nebraska from being somewhere else, I'm very thankful to be from Nebraska. A lot of things that we're fighting here are things that other school board associations have lost years ago. And we've resisted some of these national trends that you've seen over the last 20 or 30 years, and I think we're better off because of that. And we're certainly not perfect. There's certainly things we can do better, and I'm pointing the thumb organizationally, and things that we all can do better. We acknowledge that. But Nebraska still does it better than most places around the nation.
John,
Yeah.
could we switch for a second?
Yeah.
To NASB and the convention coming up this week?
Yes. Yeah.
It seems to me that it has grown smaller in the last
Yep.
2 or 3. Does it seem so to you?
Yeah, it absolutely has. So the NSBA, the National School Board Association, so right now this is kind of a sensitive issue because there's 2 national associations right now. We have the NSBA and there's CASA, the Consortium of State School Board Associations. Each have a national conference. Now we've continued to go to the NSBA because Nebraskans have been used to going to that, and we have a pretty good number. And like I said, it really is one of my favorite events, but it has shrunk because there's fewer state associations that are members of the NSBA. Now, our organization, NASB, is not a member of either national association. However, we do work with both and we support both in a lot of ways, and both national organizations use some of our products and services that we develop here in the state of Nebraska. So I've got a lot of invested in keeping both of them happy to some degree. Yeah, but it has shrunk quite a bit just because there's fewer states in the NSBA today than there ever has been.
At one time, we're almost all.
There's all 49 were involved, and Hawaii is the only state that does not have a school board association because they only have one school district. But so all 49 were a part of the NSBA prior to the pandemic, and so they broke apart shortly after the pandemic. And I, quite frankly, through Nebraska, we have continued to work with all 49 through it's our advice program. I'm not going to get into it in detail. But we organize all of the staffs of all the school board associations to continue working together through online communities that we have developed. And so my goal is to keep us all talking and keep us all working together, even though from the outside looking in, it looks like it's a little fractured right now. But it has shrunk, and if it continues to shrink, we may have to look at, do we continue going to the same one? Do we look at moving to the other one? But those are conversations we'll have. I do want your honest opinion on the overall conference experience if you're going to that. I'd be thrilled to hear your honest opinion about the overall experience at the conference. That's a great question. Appreciate it.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, appreciate your relationship, and let me know if I can ever do it. And thank you for everybody for coming. It's a good crowd.
Strategic plan update, Amanda Oliver.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us tonight. We are going to provide an update on Strategic Plan Priority 4, which, as we know, is engaging our community. Knowing that it's April and Month of the Military Child, we felt it would be the perfect opportunity to focus on Performance Indicator 4.1, which is an increased support for military-connected students and families. So tonight it is my honor. We're going to have members of Offutt Air Force Base joining us. We'll begin with our 55th Mission Support Group Commander, Colonel Russell, and we will follow up with our school liaison program managers, Tina Luderman and Jenny Miller will provide us some highlights as well. So thank you as we celebrate this month. Colonel Russell, all yours.
Thank you. Finally, after about almost 10 months, I get to get up here and be the person up here. No, seriously though, thank you very much for all of you for being here. As she mentioned, Mark Russell, the Mission Support Group Commander here at Offutt Air Force Base. I get the honor of also being the military advisor up there, and I know the name of that nameplate. But yeah, so honored to be here. First and foremost, thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share with you a little bit about Month of Military Child and really what it means to me and to us as a military. And also my team who's going to get to speak, Tina, Jenny, and Ms. Trish, who's also here. So definitely appreciate you all being here and give us a chance to talk about it. So as a member of the 55th Wing and Offutt Air Force Base, I can tell you we take great pride in our mission, but we also take great pride in our greatest and most valuable resource, which is our people, and their families, especially their families, who form the heart of our community. You've heard me say before, perhaps, during other chamber meetings, that we really strive to be the Department of War's installation of choice for military members and military families. And our commitment to that really goes deep into the neighborhoods and schools where our children live and learn. Our Offutt Air Force Base School Liaison Program is a shining example of this promise in action. So there are about 6,300 military-connected children who we serve across Nebraska and Iowa. Those 6,300 children are cared for through a living network of support that's really kind of run and put together and built by our school liaisons together with our community partners and all of you. So thank you for that. The network is really a powerful example of what we can achieve together, right, through those partnerships. And we are greatly appreciative of everything that the community does for us to help enable that with our school program and the other programs through Offutt. This April, as we celebrate the Month of the Military Child, we pause to honor the unique sacrifices made by our nation's youngest heroes. The average military child will move roughly 6 to 9 times before they graduate high school. My oldest son, it was 6 for him before he graduated high school. My 2 younger ones, who are both in Bellevue Public Schools, it will be likely 6 before they get done. But I will tell you, for the 2 of them, it's also been 4 schools in the last 5 years. Now that's 4 new schools in 4 different states. So for me, they're my heroes, right? It's amazing what they do and what is asked of them. I'll share a few other thoughts, not original by me, but very fitting, I think. The first is that military children do not have superpowers, right? Rather, they are ordinary children who are put into extraordinary circumstances due to their parents' service. That makes them pretty special. Everyone rightly thanks the military service member, and we should, but while we do that, there's a child at home learning how to live without them while they're deployed, learning how to say goodbye like it's normal, learning how to be brave when everything feels uncertain, packing up their life every 2 to 3 years, walking into new schools where no one knows their story, smiling through milestones that perhaps their parents had to miss. There are a total of 1.6 million military children growing up this way, not by choice, but with more strength than most will ever understand. They don't just adjust, they learn to rebuild their world over and over again. And this month, more than ever, I ask you to remember them. Not just for their strength, but for everything they carry quietly, too. They are warriors in their own right. So for those reasons, we celebrate this month, but you're going to also see a lot of purple, and I already see purple, so I appreciate the purple that's already out here. It's the official color of the Month of Military Child, and it's more than just a color, right? It's a symbol of unity. It actually represents the combined strength of every branch of our uniformed services and them standing together in support of our military children. Military children are often compared to the dandelion, and for good reason, as the dandelion is a master of resilience. The dandelion is our official military child flower because, like a dandelion, they can grow almost anywhere they land, and they can thrive there too, even in the most challenging of circumstances. Our military children are resilient, They are strong, they are brave, and they are proud. And they are a vital part of our military family. I ask you to join us this month in celebrating their spirit, acknowledging their sacrifices, and thanking them for their unwavering resilience. So again, thank you for allowing the opportunity to share a little bit of what it means to me personally, but also on behalf of our Offutt Air Force Base military members and their children. So I think you guys are next, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, questions? Sure.
I went all through school in Bellevue from kindergarten on. I went to kindergarten at Mission and had military kids for my friends. And it made such a difference to the district. They brought the world a little bit of the world into us. In high school, I had my 3 friends. One had been stationed in Spain, one in Japan, and one in San Francisco. But they made us, I think, different than any other district. Made us more liberal, made us wiser. And I said that last month too. But then I got to thinking about what we gave them. And I think we gave them a feeling of home. When my class comes back for reunions, the military kids are as Bellevue as the home kids. They're, in fact, one of the girls in my class, she was in the classroom to her junior year, and then her father got transferred. And we had a reunion, 15 years afterwards. And she said, you know, we got transferred, it broke my heart. She said, I had to go to this new school. I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be in Bellevue. She said, so I slept with my yearbook under my pillow for a whole hour. But so I think we gave them something too, but they gave us so much.
Definitely, yes, ma'am.
I can echo that, Lina, having grown up here too.
Yes.
Any questions or no?
Well, I want to say something. Phil's a military brat, so I mean, if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have Phil.
Don't hold that against me. I'm impressed that I had 3 friends.
Good evening, I'm Tina Lunderman. I'm one of 2 school liaisons from Offutt, and it is an honor to be here tonight to celebrate the exceptional partnership between Offutt and Bellevue Public Schools. Our goal this evening is to highlight the successes of our collaboration and reaffirm our commitment to its continued growth. Our partnership has fostered a series of impactful events that showcase our dedication to the students. For our graduating seniors, we're excited to join Offutt leadership at Honors Night ceremony, where the principals will be presenting military-dependent cords to recognize the unique journey of these students. We also take pride in celebrating the future of our armed forces at Military Signing Day, where Offutt leadership has the privilege of inspiring students as they commit to military services. Looking ahead, we are excited that the Model UN Nation Conference will hopefully take place in the fall, providing students with global perspective. This builds on successful programs that inspire future innovators, such as the recent STEM to Space workshop at LeMay Elementary, which was led by U.S. Space Force Guardian. This month, as we celebrate the month of the military child, as you all have your pens on, I appreciate that, our partnership is in full display. We have 18 events scheduled across the district to honor our military-connected students, including high fives with active duty service members, Anchored for Life events, and special performances by the Heartland of America Band. This collaboration highlights our shared goal in preparing students for success. We are proud that we have accomplished together and look forward to our future opportunities. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Miller. I'm the second of the dynamic duo for the school liaison program. And our goal when I started back in February, Tina and I sat down and we really wanted to focus on those relationships with our local school district, which this has led us into these great partnerships in support of our military connected students. As Tina talked about the great partnerships, I get to showcase the wonderful events. So we have up in the left-hand corner there, our High Five event for the month of military child at Fort Crook. We seek out the volunteers to assist us with these programs at each of the schools. Below that is the awesome Bellevue Public School staff. Thank you, Miss Amanda and your team. They came out and were in attendance of our Kindergarten Connection Fair on the base. And they answered any questions for our families along with several other support agencies. In the middle, we have Leonard Lawrence. They're working on their inspirational quotes for their classmates. This is a great peer-to-peer program for the Anchored for Life program that is designed to support the youth overcoming challenges, which many of our military families definitely face, especially with the deployments and things happening right now. On the top corner is the picture from the STEM space. 2 of the 5th grade classrooms at LeMay got to interact with the Space Force Guardian. They had so many questions. It was just a great, great experience for our kiddos. And then the bottom is our Lunch with Heroes, and they got to come in and eat and ask all the questions. They had a lot of questions for asking them where they've been and what they do. They want to know, everybody wants to know if they're a pilot. They all say, I'm not a pilot. So in the top corner to the left there, we got to judge some military month and military child posters. The 55th Force Support Squadron leadership came in and they did some amazing artwork. It was really hard to decide who had the best work. And in the middle there, we had the Anchored for Life program. This is their service project. They did a fundraiser. They did lemonade and hot cocoa for their parent-teacher conference night, and they raised over $300 they're going to give to the Muddy Paw organization. The other top is our top right is one of the military members at Leonard Lawrence. They had a map of the world, and then when the families come in, they mark where they've been all over the world. And some of our volunteer members got to show where they were too, and they were excited as well. At the bottom in the middle, that's Tina and I at Fairview with our crew supporting the kids. We show up every morning, and the kids are always so enthralled by what's going on. I don't know though if the kids enjoy it more or the volunteers. And then it's our 55th Force Support Squadron Commander reading in the classroom down there in the bottom right corner. The top right over there, we have the top left is the very last day before spring break. We went into Peter Sarpy and they had holiday music playing. We went through the whole school. It was quite the workout. We high-fived every single classroom. It was such a great time and such a good workout for us. Then we have Tina and I, we did the back to school night at Peter Sarpy as well. We are just very proud that Bellevue Public School District earned its Purple Star designation back in 2021, which shows your commitment to the support and the unique needs of our military-connected students. We are truly appreciative of the support and partnership we have built and will continue to grow. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Any questions for us?
Just one quick question. Obviously, the way you guys have built this program is impressive. It's more and more vocal and visible, in all the schools. I really like how we have that when I was growing up. But when you go around other bases, do they do this at every school district, or around the country? I don't remember.
I think it's definitely growing and gaining traction. I don't know that everybody's necessarily got the full support like we have here, but I am seeing more and more.
What kind of feedback do you get from the parents? Do they participate a lot?
We are here for a lot of the transitions, the parents coming in. So we're here to help answer those questions because there's a lot trying to figure out coming from state to state and overseas. We're helping with those transitions and answering all those questions to make it easy for them to get enrolled and get going. So that's a big part of what we do.
Point of contact, I think, is
So
key.
this program actually started in 2011, school liaison program managers, and there's one at each base, and it's a joint service, so there's Army, Navy, and overseas. So if a family's getting ready to go to Japan, we connect them to the school liaison in Japan. So there's always somebody there to help connect you at that receiving or giving base.
I can tell you, the feedback's incredible in my opinion from what I've seen and also just from what I've experienced, right? So I can tell you even right now, my daughter got to go to special lunch because my eldest oldest son, her brother is deployed, right? So she got to do kind of the, hey, other kids who have either a parent or a sibling who's deployed, can we lunch together, share your stories, whatever it might be. So it's just little things like that that make an impact, right? 'Cause that was huge for her. She came home and said, hey, I got to go have a special lunch. Got to talk about, she calls him Bubba. I got to talk about my Bubba, my brother, you know, and anyway, so those little stories, I mean, there are tons of them out there. So the impacts that really, that not just month of military child, but the school liaison program throughout the year makes really valuable.
I think the military connection is what makes this Bellevue Office community so unique and so special. So thank you for what you guys do, and we'll continue to support it.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Early childhood update.
Good evening. Thank you for having us back again this year. I'm Kara Grady, I'm the coordinator for early childhood, and I'm here with Dr. Kim Rausch, the co-facilitator, and Dr. Tanya Jolly, who is our Buffett representative from the Buffett Early Childhood Institute. Okay, so what we're going to kind of talk through tonight, we'll talk about 2 learning community investments that we've been able to take to use over the last couple years. One of them, the superintendent's early childhood plan, is kind of an oldie but a goodie. We've been involved with that from the inception, which was several years ago. And then giving you an update from the what we're calling Learning Community 2.0, which has allowed us to expand some of our early childhood programming. And then lastly, we'll talk briefly about what the numbers look like in early childhood and our program continues to serve the community. And then I'll hand it out to Penny.
Thank you so much for having me tonight. I just want to share that there are 2 initiatives that we do funded through the learning community. And the Buffett Early Childhood Institute supports the School as a Hub measure, and then also this 2.0 implementation that we've done this last year. Our School as a Hub is a focus on the piece on having every child have quality care, the continuity, and that personal relevance. So thinking about the military child, all of that just really resonated on the research that we've done that really supports children. There's some initiatives that we focus on. There's 3 target areas. One is leadership effectiveness, so coaching principals, working with district leaders. There's instructional excellence, so focusing on all the pieces for literacy instruction in any other area. And then family partnership engagement. And as Bellevue Schools a Hub, there are 4 areas that we target and have goals for every year. One of them is home visiting and socialization. So home visiting, we believe in doing from birth to 3rd grade. So that home visiting, we have families that get home visiting from birth to 3 years old, and they get 3 sessions a month in their homes or wherever they choose that they feel comfortable with. And then from 3 until preschool, they get 1 visit a month. And our socialization is partnered with our Growing Great Kids curriculum, and that is something that we hold once a month, actually right here at the Welcome Center. And then we have different student and family programs that we focus on from our action plans and activities. We meet once a month at Bellevue with district leaders, and we have some teacher leaders and this lovely team right here. So we are able to really focus on those action plan goals and really move the forward work in those 3 target areas. So what we've done is we really wanted to show the ripple effect of not only what we're doing as School as a Hub at Bellevue, but also how are we growing what we're getting with the programming and the funds that we're receiving. So as you see, I've talked about in that inner circle that coaching and principal and teachers and staff. So being a past principal, I coached with the principal that's at Bellevue, working towards those goals, and then supporting other schools and impacts. Again, that's the home visiting and that socializations. And then again, I told you about the yearly action plans that we have every year. And then we moved to the 2.0 work. And what was so wonderful about Bellevue Public Schools is that they had the option to choose whether they wanted to connect it to the School as a Hub and Buffett Early Childhood Institute. And only 2 school districts decided to do that, and Bellevue was one of them.
And so I've been able to work with them on the 2.0 work, and it's been wonderful. We've done it this year. We got the funding and then worked through the plans last year to be able to implement it this year. And you're going to share about all the implementation part.
So for the Learning Community 2.0 initiatives, we're targeting 3 different areas. The first is expanding 2 of our half-day programs, preschool programs, to full-day preschool programs. The second was increasing the behavior supports that we're able to provide at the elementary school. And the third was providing another bilingual family liaison dedicated to those families with really young children. So we, as a district, decided to focus on Beckson Central, 2 of our lower income schools, to expand that half-day program. So it used to be an AM and PM program to a full-day program. Kind of our thought behind that was a lot of times, especially for students who come to our program and don't receive special education transportation, that midday drop-off and pickup is kind of a no-go for parents. So they're not sending their kids to preschool because of that logistical reason. So by expanding to that full-day program, we're hoping that more of those families that live in that neighborhood will be able to access the preschool program. And what we found is that we were able to fill those classrooms with kids from those neighborhoods. So it's only kids from those neighborhoods that are in that full-day program. This slide shows a little bit of our data from fall to winter. So each 2 color bands represents one area of development: social, emotional, language, and then literacy. And what you can see is the top band is fall, where our 4-year-olds were then, and the winter band, the second band is winter. The lighter the blue, the lower the rating. We're looking at below age expectations, meeting age expectations, and then exceeding age expectations. So we can see we've seen a lot of positive growth with this full-day program. I will say this data just captures those 2 full-day programs. We see this across the board. I think what we're seeing that's a little bit different is in those pre-academic skills, the literacy and the math skills. We're seeing more growth there in the full-day programs than we have typically in the half-day programs. The second initiative was increasing the behavior supports that we can provide in every elementary school building. And what we did with the financial support from the learning community was hire a BCBA, or a board certified behavior analyst. And then we were able to train paraprofessionals that were already working in the building as RBTs. I'm going to forget that acronym, registered behavior technicians. So more or less what that means is the BCBA, as the certified person, for these kiddos that have pretty intense behaviors, can create a plan that RBT who's already working in the building can work with that kiddo on. So kind of 2 goals there. We want to keep our kids, our elementary school kiddos, in their home school as long as we can, and kind of help them work through those behaviors so that they can stay there with their peers. And then the second goal is to build that capacity for the teachers that are in the building to work through those challenging behaviors with those students, rather than trying to bring in a specialist all the time to do that work. Like Tanya said, this is our first year implementing this, so we will be looking at what our behavior data looks like comparing this year and previous years to next year. But we do have some anecdotal evidence for kiddos that we're maybe looking at moving to a more restrictive level 2 environment, being able to stay in their home school with that level of support. And then the third initiative is that bilingual family liaison. We had 2 in the district, and they do fantastic work, but what we were finding is they're stretched pretty thin, so we were doing a lot of like reactive work and getting families enrolled, making sure they understood the system, and less time focusing on those proactive strategies like building family literacy, getting families engaged in their school. And with this additional family liaison focusing primarily on bringing in families with young children and building those relationships early, we've been able to get those families into the building and then help them access all of the services that we can provide. And so those are the 3 initiatives that we're getting through the 2.0, and I'll hand it over to Dr. Roush to talk about our program.
So this is always exciting for us to look at our recap of what has been the impact for our school year. And as you can see, we continue to grow. Across our district, we had 276 preschoolers that were enrolled within our buildings across the district. We have just as many or almost just as many kids that we are doing within our home and community program. That means that there is a primary service provider that is going in the home of 240 students throughout our district to be providing coaching to those parents so that they can be working with their children so that those developmental gaps either shrink or they don't develop in the first place. Over the past year, we've had 126 referrals to our birth to 3 program, which is early intervention, and we've had 125 just for our 3 to 5 girls. Those are our kids that will become preschool eligible or be going into our kindergarten programs within the next year. So again, very large impact within our community of the number of kids that our program is touching on an annual basis. Our early childhood center, which is just down the hall, and one of the real gems within the school district. We've had 3,271 unique sign-ins for that program. Now remember, this serves not just our school district, but it's also a big support in terms of our military community as well. If they are a military member, they can come to our program too. It's a really great way for families, particularly those of very young children, to be able to connect with one another very organically within this and provide those supports of teaching them how to play with, encourage language, encourage those pre-academic skills of math and literacy, all in that program that is run throughout the day. Having worked in a number of school districts across the nation as a military spouse, this is the only school district I've ever been in that has had this kind of investment within our early childhood and has someplace that is co-located within our school district that is all about bringing kids in and families in so that they are a part of our school district from very early on. In total, those 3,271 unique sign-ins, we've had 456 families. Many of them are first time. Again, this rolls over quite frequently because of the age of our children. We've had 386 first-time families coming to our program. So again, word gets out, we really are getting a lot of traction within our community, and that is maintaining that as we go through. And then on a daily basis, we have about 23 to 24 families that are signing in. So if you ever are making it down to that end of the hallway, you're going to see a pretty busy room as families are coming in for story time, for projects, for activities, to be able to be part of a very enriched environment as we have here. So at this point, I will turn it over to you. Do you have any questions for us?
How many students are enrolled in a full-day preschool at Central?
Oh, in the full day preschool. So there are 19 students at VETS and then 15 students at Central. We just have one with that district.
And again, all of this, there's no fees. There's
No,
charge
we
for
don't
anything.
charge any fees. So
that is
yeah,
unique too,
yeah, that is.
within our school district. Go ahead, Paul.
And 2 questions. How do you market this? How do you make sure that people on the base or in the community know about this? I mean, if you're a first time, you don't have kids already in the school
So
district.
one of our big targets is
They're already here.
liaison. We work constantly back and forth with them. And so they are a member of our Region 20 council that meets here quarterly. So we can talk about that. We also have representation from our Head Start program that comes here. And then as part of the Early Developmental Network grant that we have liaisons that go to our clinics within our community, pediatricians, be it at CHI or at Offutt. They are one of our biggest referral sources that we have. If a child is not meeting their developmental milestones, we're one of the first calls that is placed. I have concern. We get phone calls from the neonate saying, we have a child that was born at 24 weeks, and they have now been in the neonate for 13 weeks.
we are discharging them to home, we're calling you. We would like to make a referral to make sure that someone is tracking the development of this child and partnering with their family so that they can be doing the best they can to stave off those developmental delays that they are at risk of. And that's one of the primary things about our program is that even before a delay can emerge, that we want to be there to support them if they are in any way at risk of that developmental delay starting.
One more question, 3,271 sign-in, when somebody signs in, what's their day look like? Are they there for an hour, are they there for 2 hours, are they?
It can look like what they need.
They're
So
gonna
there are
look
some families that come, every day, but just for that story hour. There are other families that might sign in the morning and stay until lunchtime. And then there's a couple that might do that and then also come back after lunch, on a rainy day. They just need something to do. There are families that come pretty much every day of the week, and then there's families that we might see just at the special events. So we usually do an event around Halloween, Christmas, and then Easter. And then there are families that just access like the small group times when we do more like targeted crafts or activities that work on developing fine motor skills or language skills.
But the parent is there.
The parent stays. It's not a drop-off service. It's the parent staying, and the idea being again that we're coaching those people that are in that child's life the most, so that they can carry over these activities when we're not there.
So, did you want to say something else? No. But I know Dr. Ravi, you've been very supportive of the Early Childhood Institute and of our early childhood program and Birth to 3. I mean, we talk about the support, and that's when parent training starts, where they can model the teachers and see what they need to do to help their child. But this is just one of the many great things in early child to start off those children so that when they get to grade 3, they've had every single intervention they can to help them read on grade level, which we hear about so frequently now. And I wish our decision makers were seeing all of these interventions and strategies that are being used among the curriculum. I mean, you're already using some of that, the wit and wisdom and things that matter. So just so grateful for your work and your programs.
You guys still go into the homes as well sometimes?
Yes. Yeah. So that's what that 240 number is up there. Okay. Those are the number of children that we have in our program where we are going into the home to work alongside of the families.
30 years ago, my son was born early, and you guys did a great, all the way through to kindergarten. And he's very successful today, so it's a big part of that.
We get, it's really such a unique experience because we do get families from very young. And the number of times that we get to hear about, you helped my child, you helped me as a parent. And hearing about all of the milestones that they go at and do afterwards. It's very, very rewarding to work in early childhood.
I have a question just on the financial end of this. So we're getting money from the learning community for 5 years. That's for this year?
It's for 5 years. So the 2.0 grant actually started last year, but we use it as a planning year to kind of get our ducks in a row so that we can put in some quality initiatives.
Yeah, so I guess my question is, what happens at the end of 5 years?
Good question. So we tried to develop programs that there was a chance that we'd be able to sustain if they were implemented successfully and if that's the direction that we decide to go as a district. We don't know if that's going to be the case, but that was why, for example, with the BCBA and the RBT, if that money goes away, that knowledge that we built in that building does not. So even if we don't have that BCBA overseeing those RBTs or the parents trained in RBT anymore, that information, that knowledge is going to stay in that building with those people that have been trained in that behavior intervention. So we were trying to be really mindful of the initiatives that we started.
But this money is supporting the preschool, right?
It is, yeah.
So that's that would be hard to replace.
Yeah, what we'd be looking at there and what we're using that money for now is as we're building those programs, we added an additional paraprofessional and the stipend to those paraprofessional and then a stipend to the teachers, to what the teachers are earning as we're building that. with the idea being that once it's in place, it might be something that we could carry over without those supports, but in these building years, we wanted those things in place.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
NDE compliance review, Dr. Kokorski.
Hi, good evening. You might have noticed in the agenda or in your packet, there's a letter from NDE indicating that we passed our compliance review with flying colors. And I'm just gonna kind of walk you through how they came to submit that evidence or that letter to us. So, Rule 10 is kind of the guidebook for all public district schools in the state of Nebraska, and it ensures that all kids receive quality education. They're being taught what they're supposed to be taught in the state of Nebraska by credentialed teachers in a safe environment. We sign every year acknowledging that we are in compliance with Rule 10 and all of the components either through state statute or established through NDE that are outlined in Rule 10. Typically, that's all we do is indicate that we are adhering to everything that is outlined there. This year they called and said, we'd like some more evidence and we're gonna come visit you. This is just because I hadn't been here in 36 years and it was time for them to come see our district in action. So they've been working really hard to get caught up and seeing all the districts across the state, and I think they've been to 65 in the last 18 months. So this was just another step for them. Moving forward, they'd like to get into districts every 7 years, so we'll see them a little bit more routinely. But when they had called us this summer, they had said, these are all the things that we'd like to see some more evidence on, and there were 68 components that we collected evidence that we already have in place, whether it was board policy, or master schedules, or our staffing report that Dr. Smith does each year, etc. We provided all this evidence to them for them to comb through from the months of October through February. And then they followed up with 2 days in our district. And we had Dr. John Baptiste with us on March 2nd, and we went to 4 schools, and we went and visited Ace and Best over at the support center. And then the next day we had Mr. Todd Wolverton, and we visited 4 additional schools, and also the Frank Coomer Career Center. And they met with tons and tons of teachers. They were in hundreds of classrooms within each of those, within those 10 schools and programs. And they met with every librarian and got a tour of all of the resources that we have available for all of our students. The principals gave guided tours as they talked about their continuous improvement efforts, on their performance measures, on their work with MTSS teams. It just really was a really nice visit where they showcased things that they're proud of, but they also got to see us doing school. Like, what does a day look like for kids at Bel Air or at Mission Middle School or Bellevue East or West, etc. And so after they combed through all of the evidence that we provided them, and they spent 2 days in our district, they came to the conclusion that we had met all criteria of Rule 10, and they gave us 2 very small things to tweak moving forward, and one was to list the exact instructional hours that we are adhering to, which was that administrative reg that was on the agenda, and then also are asking for us to include a little bit of benchmark reporting in our annual report because we have a very robust strategic plan. So those were the 2 pieces of feedback they gave us that we will adjust moving forward, and we look to see them again in about 7 years. The other thing I wanted to share with you is they were concluding their visit with us. They had just such nice things to say about our schools, and I just wanted to share some of those with you. So Mr. Wolverton started by saying he would love to be a teacher in our district, which is a true compliment. He said that we have a wonderful community in terms of partnerships, especially at the Frank Coomer Career Center, and that we have a commitment to resources for all of our students, especially as we prepare kids for post-secondary. The resources, the online databases that we have available to our kids through the libraries was something that they were really impressed with. They indicated that every librarian knew what they were doing, and it would be nice to have children in this district because our buildings are safe and kids can learn. Dr. John Baptiste said, your kids are happy, and Bellevue Public Schools has strong leadership and the right people in place. It's very welcoming, familiar, and friendly. So these were great accolades. These are things that we know on the daily, but it's great to have somebody on the outside coming in and seeing how we do business each day and having the same conclusions. Any questions?
So just a comment, so I think Fran mentioned 68 items that we had to provide evidence for. She provided evidence on all 68 of those things. So lots of time and effort for Dr.
Well,
Prokorsky, so
thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Well done. Legislative update, Dr. Rivers.
Okay, today they were not in session. Tomorrow will be day 56. Remember, it's a 60-day session, so it's coming to an end quickly. They plan to meet this week. Day 59 will be on Friday. As long as the governor does not propose to veto any bills, they would sine die on Friday, so the session would be over. If there's a concern about potential veto, they would come back for day 60 on April 17th, so they'd take about a week off to react to that. So senators get very desperate at this time to try to get their bills passed, and they're running out of time. So this is when we start to see bills get attached to other bills, hoping that some stuff can get passed. Kind of three bills that we continue to watch: LB 1050, and this is the third grade reading bill. There's been lots of amendments. This is the governor's very. It's very important to him that this bill passes and that kids are retained in the third grade if they do not, or if they're not reading at grade level. Some of the amendments that have been proposed is it's not automatic that the parent would have the final say whether they want their third grader retained or not. There's been an amendment that would allow NDE to basically create the policy, and then school districts would either have to follow that policy or create a policy very similar. So kind of all over the board right now, but this bill will be heard probably tomorrow or Wednesday at the latest, trying to get support for some type of third grade assurance that kids are reading at grade level. What that looks like in the end, we don't know. LB 803, this is the postcard bill. So many of you, probably all of you, have received a postcard in the mail, usually in September, saying that the school district or any other entity that's raising their taxes by a certain percentage have to attend this hearing, and so each entity gets to go and present. A few changes to this bill. If it passes, instead of happening in September, it would happen in July. So right now, our budget is developed July, August, September. Obviously, we would have to change our procedures, and it would, anybody who taxes, any entity that has a tax authority would have to present. So it's not just schools, it'd be cities, counties, metro, learning community, all those then would have to come present. So much more detailed presentation, and the timeline shifts from September.
What's the purpose for the timeline shift?
To give more people more time to react to, and right now in September, our budget is pretty well developed, and kind of, we have a week after that hearing to submit it to the state for final approval. This would allow people more opportunity to potentially influence government entities to maybe change their budget after the hearing, because the deadline still wouldn't be until September to submit it, but you would have to present all your information in July.
So give them more feedback earlier in the process.
Right. The other issue is that the county assessor would have to attend this hearing. Somebody from this board, which hasn't changed, would have to attend the hearing as well. I think there's a proposal that to pass the budget right now, it's just majority. I think it'd be 2/3 of the board would have to support increasing any taxes from one year to the next. So there could be an additional responsibility on this board to make sure you have enough people supporting that tax increase. So that's something that's out there that we continue to watch. And then the last one is LB 841. This is Senator Roundtree's bill, which basically changes the special education process to where parents have the final say in an IEP. Right now, it's really a team approach. We try to accommodate the parents when possible, but if they don't like something and are requesting something that could cost additional dollars for the district, different programming, then we would have to meet that requirement, or we would have to go to some type of hearing to determine, and that just, the timeline gets expanded, the expense gets expanded. I believe this is a bigger national issue than it is a local issue. I think we work extremely well with special education parents and IEPs and trying to meet those. but nationally, that's not happening all the time. So just lots of concerns about the expense, kind of unfunded mandates again on the school district that we would have to provide. So continue to watch that. That bill has not even been heard. This bill is one, if it gets anywhere, is going to be attached to another bill, and we'll just have to watch that. So, any questions? Other bills have passed, retirement bills have passed, discipline bills have passed, option enrollment bills have passed, so we'll...
What about the private school?
The private school, so the budget did pass. It was supposed to pass on day 50. It passed last week on, I think, day 53 or 54. Started out at $7 million of the budget. Remember, they're having to, cut the budget by several $1 million, but the proposal was to add $7 million to support private schools. That was reduced to $3.5 million, and at the end of the day, to get the budget passed, they had to eliminate that $3.5 million. So that is not in the budget, but lots and lots of debate and time spent on that, which then takes away time from other bills that people are interested in as well. So this year, now next year, the federal guidelines kick in to where there is money provided for families to support private education. But they were trying to do it 1 year ahead of time to state funds. So budget's passed, coming to a close quickly, but we'll continue to watch it closely as additional bills could get attached to other bills. Any other questions?
No.
All right, thank you.
Good, thank you. All right, board policy review, Dr. Rippey.
Okay, so 2 policies for review, again, just tonight for any discussion or review, and then we'll bring it back to the board in May for approval. The first one addresses school facility construction. The amounts have changed, and so you see that in one of it's requiring the amount, and then one of it is if you hire or what's required to hire an architect or engineer. So those have been changed. I will tell you, as we review this one more time, the very last paragraph in this 902.02 is a repeat. So we would propose to just go ahead and eliminate that whole paragraph at the very bottom, because the paragraph above, not in the red, but this policy shall not apply to construction, that paragraph is really saying the same thing as the bottom one. So if there's no objection when we bring this back in May, you will see that last paragraph be eliminated. Any questions on that? And then the last one just deals with our district annual report, computer science and technology update. We will add that section to what we already have included in the district annual report. That's the only change to policy 1002.
Why is that?
Is that a state
Well, it goes back to
requirement?
the legislation where they required all students to take a computer science class prior to graduation, and then also you have to teach computer science throughout different grade levels. So it's just a report on how we're doing that and kind of an update on that.
In the annual report, yeah. So again, these will be back in May for approval.
Public comment period. Public comment pertaining to items not otherwise on the agenda must be submitted to the secretary of board 5 days prior to the board meeting. There were no items submitted for public comment for this meeting. Board of Education member reports on meetings they have attended. Scott and Nina Foundation.
Foundation, the meeting was mostly for, to determine how much money we had in each fund and how much each area was bringing in. And then we talked about, of course, the gala. Which is,
Yeah, and the scholarship breakfast is coming up this month.
that's right. we did
And
talk about
scholarship
that too.
breakfast, and then also the first inaugural Alumni Association Hall of Fame is this weekend, so that will be a great event to, I think, recognizing 8 individuals for.
Maybe just a review of what's happening in the legislature. Everyone's wrapped up on negotiations. Several districts discuss bond issues that they're working on. That basically that was it. Any other meetings people have attended? No. All right. Future business, April 10th through the 12th, NSBA annual conference. April 17th, BPS staff celebration. April 24th, BPS Foundation Scholarship Breakfast, BPS Lead Activity Center. May 4th, Board of Education Meeting, Welcome Center, 6:30 p.m. May 5th, District Retirement Reception, BPS Lead Activity Center. We have a recommendation to adjourn the April 6th, 2026 Board of Education meeting. Is there a motion?
Second.
I'm sorry, the first was, thank you. Ms. Beckham?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Getz?
Yes.
Mrs. McNamara?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolford?
Yes.
Mr. Eby?
Yes.